For people who don't know, can you just sort of briefly summarize, if you know, exactly what O'Keefe Media and I guess Alex Stein was a part of it? Somehow involved, uncovered.
Sure. So James O'Keefe, his group, O'Keefe Media, went undercover. For some reason, all these people think they're on dates with people, so they'll just expose everything. Yeah.
I'm not even that open with my wife. I don't know why you'd be that open with a total stranger you've just met.
Exactly. So this guy, his name's Sean Hudson. He's the director of community relations at the Nationals. His role is basically to be the middleman between the community and the individual player. Trevor Williams, as we know, is Catholic. He rightfully had a problem 2 years ago when the Dodgers had the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgences. These are dudes who dress up as women and act like nuns. Disgusting in any case, but especially if you're mocking the Catholic religion. Trevor Williams was outspoken about it. He didn't like it. So therefore, Sean Hudson decides that we're just not going to market this guy. We're going to discriminate against him.
All right, welcome to Who Versus. We are here with our guest this week, who's got
awesome.
I'm looking forward to this one. This is Corey Inganamort. He is the Townhall brand ops manager, and he's got maybe the most awesome Twitter headline or X headline of all time. Former MLB mascot, former WMAL producer and weekend host, World Series champion, and pontoon captain of the No Woke Zone.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thank you for being on the show, Corey. Appreciate you having you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this. It'll be fun.
All right. James and I were talking yesterday about this whole like Nats thing that's going on, and this O'Keefe Media Group, the guy that was busted by an undercover camera, talking about basically trying to infuse like communist politics into baseball games, which is kind of crazy. And so you and I have a mutual friend, someone that works with us here at the office, is a good friend of yours. And I just want to start with maybe the most pressing issue that's out there right now. True or false, you were the Nationals mascot for 10 years.
False, I was the mascot for 13 years.
Whoa! You were Screech?
I was Screech, the big furry eagle.
Yeah.
I was the Washington Nationals mascot. We can talk about that forever. I've got a lot of crazy fun experiences. I got a World Series ring out of it. I got the most incredible memories ever. It was a great job, great people, but quite some issues with the front office, which I know we'll get into shortly. But yeah, it was a hell of a time. From 2009 to 2022, I wore an eagle costume. So I was a professional idiot.
Me too.
I was really good at being goofy and dumb.
I don't wear a costume, but I am as well. Okay, so much to unpack here. We'll get into the ring thing in a minute. What was that, 2017? I think they were World Series champs.
2019.
2019.
Close,
How do you get in? How do you become a mascot? How did you do that?
I was a mascot at college at the University of Delaware.
Okay.
That's actually how most people start off doing it. I got pretty lucky. I became friends with a lot of the mascot team. There was a team of 5 of us or so. And they just kind of brought me on. I actually tried out because I was buddies with all these guys. I got cut. And then they were like, well, we really need somebody. Some guy graduated earlier. Let's sneak Corey on and throw him in costume a few times. So University of Delaware was the Fighting Blue Hens.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, there's no reason for you to know this, but Delaware has the most professional mascots of anybody of any college in the country, more than Michigan State, Penn State, Aubie and Auburn, anything like that, because we actually take it pretty seriously, and there's quite a network of mascots that help each other out. Former Delaware mascots include the Houston Rockets, Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens, Washington Nationals, actually after me as well, Washington Capitals. He went on to move to a different job, but other minor league mascots. So there's kind of a bit of a network. I graduated from Delaware. I had, it's kind of a reputation, so the Nationals hired me off of one quick interview. They needed somebody at the time. But a lot of people actually spend time in the minor leagues working their way up to become a professional mascot, believe it or not. I would never do it because, in Major League Baseball, it actually is pretty glamorous. You get like quite a nice budget. You get a washer dryer in your changing room. You get to perform in front of 40,000 fans and, I've been to trips to Japan, Taiwan, every All-Star game, get to know the players quite a bit and be on the field a bit, quite a lot. But some of these minor league guys, they really pay their dues. There's no glamour involved at all. And I know some people doing it for 10, 15 years before they actually get their pro gig. Wow. You'd be shocked. So these guys in baseball, the oldest guy is in his 60s. Quite a few people are approaching 60. It's interesting. Once you get one of these gigs, you kind of want to hang on to it because it's so much fun. But also at the same time, when you become in your mid-30s, approaching 40, and you want a new job, a career change, kind of becomes a red flag on your resume. Like, okay, what else have you been doing? You've been wearing a costume for 20 years. What can you do? That's kind of why people do it for a really long time.
Yeah, you got to get in and get out. So, like, when you're in college doing this, are there scouts in the stands looking at you to see, like, because it seems like this is way more of a serious profession than I thought it was. Are there actually people out there in the stands watching you perform, like, oh yeah, this is who we
He's
need,
got the goods.
For the Orioles?
Yeah.
That's funny. I'd like to believe that's the case. We'll go with it. Sure. Yeah. There's definitely scouts. No. What we actually do with a team like University of Delaware, whoever's not in costume, and there's like a group of 5 people who do it. The other people are recording, and they use all these recordings for a highlight video to do this national competition. Yeah. So what I did is, steal all the video clips of myself, create a little highlight reel, and I use that when I applied to professional jobs. And so not many universities have this type of infrastructure to be able to do that, and the team to do that. Delaware's got the advantage because we do send a highlight video, highlight reel, a 2-minute clip to potential employers.
That's amazing.
So that's kind of how it goes down.
What's the basic skill set for a mascot? Is it like gymnastic ability or just caricatureness? Like, what is it?
Good question. It kind of varies per sport, actually. Baseball, I would say characterness. Like, if I were to ask you, Phil, show me embarrassed at a 3. And without, using any words whatsoever, you got to act it all out. Or James, show me sexy at a 9. You gotta play it all out. You'd have no problem doing that, I'm sure. But so baseball, it's a lot of characters. If you're a basketball mascot, those are like the guys who make pretty good money. I mean, all of them in the league are making over $200,000 a year. I mean, there are some exceptions, but these guys are gymnasts, they're acrobats, they're dunkers. So it kind of varies per sport. In hockey, it obviously makes a lot more sense if you can ice skate. But I would say baseball, it's more family friendly, kids oriented. So you got to be able to express emotions and don't do anything stupid. The Philly Fanatic has been sued probably 50 times in his career. You got to kind of know the line and what buttons to push.
Yeah. What's the best gig in the mascot world? Is it like Disney, or like what's the top job for a mascot?
No, I mean, that's probably the worst gig, actually.
The worst?
The worst.
I mean, I would never want to be Mickey Mouse in a. First of all, Disney adults freak me out, and I don't want to be near any Disney.
Not a Disney adult.
Phil's
I take my
Disney
kids
adult.
there. Disney adult is defined by 2 adults going without children.
All right.
I agree with that. And those people weird me out. I know quite a few, but I wouldn't want to be around all those people because there are plenty who exist in 95-degree heat, even though that's what I did at DC. But at least there's like some excitement. There's a crowd, the energy, the electricity that I dealt with. But the best mascot gig's got to be the Philly Fanatic. I mean, he's the most. I mean, the guy's a legend. His name's Tom Burgoyne. That's public information. You could Google that. Great guy, awesome individual. Makes a lot of money, and it's just he's fantastic at his craft. But
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but I mean, after the Fanatic, pretty much any basketball job is pretty. People want to be a basketball mascot. They make the most money. It's also the hardest to do. Unlike baseball, where you're working the sidelines, working the crowd. In basketball, when you're on center court, you have every eye on you. You have all the spotlight, and you better perform. And these guys, they're very talented. So I would say the Fanatic won. After that, I don't know, Denver Nuggets maybe. After that, Houston Rockets clutch, and quite a few others. But
I like the Phoenix Suns. He's like a gorilla for some reason, and he jumps off the trampoline and dunks.
Yep. He's one of the original NBA mascots. I think he might have been the first NBA mascot that ever was created. On baseball, it was the Fanatic, the San Diego Chicken. He was a radio station mascot, and then the Padres bought the rights to that. There's debate which one came first between the Fanatic and the Chicken, but we digress.
Everyone knows. So.
Yeah.
How hard is it to be a mascot when the team sucks? Like if you're in a 5-year drought, but you have to keep your energy up, like that's got to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, my first year in 2009, we lost over 100 games, and 2 years later, we lost another 100 games. I mean, it does. It is annoying when nobody's in the crowd and you gotta, it's like that meme, Ronald McDonald suiting up for work. Here we go. We're gonna get excited for absolutely nothing again. But
that's how I feel in the morning.
Yeah, but when the team is lousy, the team actually relies on the mascot more to entertain their fans. They need a reason for families to bring their kids to games, and the mascot gets promoted more, it's marketed more. That part is cool, but it does suck when the team is awful.
You don't have to say names, but what is the worst experience you've had with a player that hated you as a mascot? Not you as a person, but just didn't like the mascot.
Well, I can name names. We've made up since then. Jason Worth was an interesting character. We had a love-hate relationship. I remember. Are we allowed to curse on this podcast or no?
Do whatever you want.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you remember the gig with our racing presidents? Teddy would always lose. In the middle of the fourth inning, we'd have Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Abe Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt race. It was a big gig for a while that Teddy never, ever won. Yep. In 2010, I believe, we signed Jason Worth to a $127 million contract. It changed the franchise. It was the first big free agent signing ever, and he wanted to change the culture of the Washington Nationals. And so he had this big problem with Teddy losing all the time. He's like, this is bullshit. He should win. Yeah. I remember one time after a race, I forget who won, but Abe Lincoln or whatever, we're walking off the field and the presidents are probably 50 yards ahead of me. And I just hear screaming in the tunnel, "What the f***? This is bullshit. It was in the face of a mascot. This is like a 22-year-old kid out of college wearing a mascot. And Jason Worth is screaming in his face, "What the hell?" And I just remember getting off the field. I'm like, "Guys, relax. What the hell's going on?" He gets in my face. He starts yelling at me. I was like, "Dude, you're yelling at a mascot. Like
you're worth $120 million. Stop yelling at a puppet."
Yeah, you'd think you would care about other things than that per se. But anyway, Jason was an interesting individual. A month later, I was invited to his Cinco de Mayo party. I was Teddy Roosevelt there, and then we were drinking at his house the rest of the night. And then I see him regularly. Well, not so much anymore, but he used to come back to a lot of games. And hey, Corey, what's up? Jason, what's going on? But that's one experience I can remember. But
that's
a lot of the players are great. A lot of them want nothing to do with me. Max Scherzer signs a $200-something million contract. We don't have much in common to talk about when we ride an elevator together. There's not really. How was your weekend? It was like, oh, well, I was weeding. What did you do? I was on a yacht and a private jet. There's not much to talk about. But one guy I will say I do love is Bryce Harper. He was an awesome guy. He's got a bad public perception, probably because he's so intense. But behind the scenes, he was one of maybe 5 players to call me Corey. Everybody else calls me Screech because they didn't want to learn my name. But I liked him, and I would say those are the few of the individuals that I had personal relationships with.
That's incredible. We could talk baseball stories the entire time. It's just the focus of Jason Worth on mascotry.
Right.
Like, who cares? Like, pump up your players. I remember the let Teddy win thing, and I remember a few July 4th ago, I don't know, I think it was during Trump won, Teddy and Screech, possibly Corey, came to the roof of the Department of Interior for like the July 4th fireworks, the
yeah.
place was electric having Screech and Teddy there. It was.
I was there. I remember that. Yep, that was me. So it was good to see you again, James.
That's right.
I've just got one more question about the mascot stuff, then we can move on unless James has something else. When you would travel with the team, right?
Not for road games, but like for some events. Every All-Star game. I was on a MLB All-Star tour of Taiwan, Japan, mascot birthday parties if they want to fly with other mascots, but not with the team for games. No.
Yeah. It's a
So,
home game.
my question is, when you were in these environments, when you had other mascots around you, who is the mascot that you would look at and say, I've got to have my A game for this one? And who was the one you were like, this dude's a punk. I'm going to own him for all 9 innings?
Well, the punk is definitely the San Francisco Giants mascot. Complete asshole. No problem
Whoa.
saying that. I mean, he was just a dick. Just like when you get every mascot in the room, every single one of them thinks they're the funniest one there, and it's just a competition for airspace, and it's just so obnoxious, to be honest. I kind of separated myself from that. I had a few good close friends that 3 or 4 of us got along with everybody, but some of them are just so obnoxious. So San Francisco Giants mascot, he's out. But I love, friends with the Oriole Bird, Philly Fanatic, Toronto Blue Jays, Arizona Diamondbacks, Chicago Cubs. Those are probably my guys.
Clark, the Cubs. He's a new mascot. Clark's not that old.
No. Well, the guy who's doing Clark now, he used to be the Pittsburgh Pirates mascot. He did a little transfer over. And great individual.
That made me think, first of all, a room full of mascots would be hilarious to just witness. But secondly, when you were in the thick of mascot season, did you find yourself not in the costume doing expressions like I'm sad or like what, like very
Totally.
Did you do that ever?
Totally. I mean, I was always an outgoing-ish guy, but when you wear the costume as often as I did, I don't want to say it becomes your personality, but you're kind of used to the attention and the exaggerated motions and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of thrive under that energy. I always used to say that Screech's personality was drunk Corey. It'd always be a little bit extra, a little bit more exaggerated. It kind of becomes a little piece of you for sure.
I could see that. Well, we should probably transition to the topic du jour about this O'Keefe media thing, injecting communism into baseball. Okay. The obvious civil rights violation of not promoting a Catholic Christian on social media. I mean, Phil, take us away here.
I'm trying to find the post you had on X the other day, but
that was
I guess
good.
for people who
we
don't
should
know,
roll that in.
For people who don't know, can you just sort of briefly summarize, if you know, exactly what O'Keefe Media and I guess Alex Stein was a part of it? Somehow involved, uncovered.
Sure. So James O'Keefe, his group, O'Keefe Media, went undercover. For some reason, all these people think they're on dates with people, so they'll just expose everything. Yeah.
I'm not even that open with my wife. I don't know why you'd be that open with a total stranger you've just met.
Exactly. So this guy, his name's Sean Hudson. He's the director of community relations at the Nationals. And what that position does, and unfortunately or fortunately, this guy wasn't there when I was. I guess he started in 2003. I left the year prior. Or I'm sorry, 2023. I left the year prior.
Okay.
His role is basically to be the middleman between the community and the individual players. So if any of our players were to attend a hospital visit or a parade, it would be this guy who drives them there, introduces themselves, calls the contact whatsoever. So they have a very close relationship with the players and how they are marketed to the community. Trevor Williams, as we know, is Catholic. He rightfully had a problem 2 years ago when the Dodgers had the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgences. These are dudes who dress up as women and act like nuns. Disgusting in any case, but especially if you're mocking the Catholic religion. Trevor Williams was outspoken about it. He didn't like it. So therefore, Sean Hudson decides that we're just not going to market this guy. We're going to discriminate against him when there's videos put out about the team. I'm sure you've seen them. Any type of funny social clips where the team will ask them, "Hey, I saw one recently. What's your favorite store on the National Mall? And some of the, obviously it was a joke, but some of the players were caught off guard. And you do like 10 clips of that, and okay, here's our highlight video. Trevor Williams was not in that.
Yeah.
And this has real implications and negative. It's negative for the player, because when these players get marketed, they sell jersey sales. Players get portions of that. They are marketed for the team to buy merchandise.
Yeah.
Obviously, Trevor Williams suffers when a team discriminates against a religion and just doesn't promote him at all. So it's completely disgraceful. They were caught red-handed. This guy apparently is still employed, but on leave. But he has said in text messages that were released that the team has been super supportive of him throughout this whole process.
Of course,
which is awful. So I'd like to see something done about this. I don't necessarily expect that to be the case, because in my experience, the Nationals front office have always been super liberal. I can go through a couple stories that I remember. I remember in 2019, when we were in the World Series, Game 5, Donald Trump was potentially going to throw out the first pitch. There was a lot of stress within the office. Is he going to be here? Is he not? Because we didn't know at the time, and a lot of people didn't want him to come. For other reasons too, because it would be a mess with security and screening people getting in. It would take hours, that kind of thing. But Donald Trump declined the invite. He cited the security concerns, just to give the fans a better experience. And there was such a sigh of relief in the office. You could feel it. And what did the Nationals do after that? They invited one of Trump's rivals at the time, Chef Jose Andres, who was beefing with Trump online very, very publicly about his immigration stances. Jose Andres loves open borders and everybody's welcome. And he was also in a beef with Trump over the restaurant in Trump's DC hotel. He backed out of the deal because of Trump's immigration policies. So anyway, the Nationals invite him as kind of like an FU to Trump. Yeah. Trump's there in the stands. I think he showed up in the third or fourth inning. But Andres throws out the pitch. He thanks the Nationals. Thank you for supporting immigrants. It was this whole big public thing. So that was obvious. I remember so many times in the production meetings before games, we'd always go through it. And I remember specifically Jen Psaki was throwing out the first pitch in 2021. Our production team was so excited. Our announcer was fist pumping, and DJ plays like awesome music, and the DJ's a complete douchebag too. But they're all a bunch of like crazy leftists, and they react completely different if a leftist is there as a guest versus a Republican. If a Republican is there, they don't give them their alone time recognition on the field. What they'll do is probably throw them in the back of a shot of a military salute, military recognition, kind of drown them out, which is great, I guess, in the sense that, the fans are going to clap for the military, and then, there's the Republicans. So we try to limit the boos. After all, we are in Washington, D.C., and our fan base is crazy. Yeah. But it's been nonstop. We do those stupid HR trainings about pronouns and all this kind of crap. None of what I heard and saw the other day surprised me at all.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they don't actually just say no to people that they disagree with. It's kind of like James and I on a couple of shows have talked about Washington bureaucracy. And as you well know, they can just slow things down, or they can speed things up, because there's way more of them than there are, of a single president or of his political appointees. And if they don't like something, they'll just slow walk it for 4 or 8 years. So it sounds like the Nats do the same thing. If they don't like somebody, they'll find a way to sort of like cover them up in some way, or find a way that it's not convenient. Like, you were saying, I think I heard somewhere, it was you, it was like, if people want to, it was that undercover video of the guy who looks like he's wearing a Michael Myers mask.
Yeah, he's creepy looking.
He was saying if a player wanted to meet Pete Hegseth or meet the president, that he would say, "Oh, sorry, he's left." When in actuality, he's still in the building. That they don't actually say no and create controversy. They basically just they lie about it, and they find ways to sort of, cover up the reality.
Totally. You mentioned that. A quick example comes to my head. I remember Justice Sonia Sotomayor was thrown out of first pitch one day, and we made it the biggest deal in the world. And it is a big deal having a justice there. I mean, fine, that's great. We had a pregame ceremony throughout the first pitch. There was so much marketing involved, promoting the game before the fact and then after the fact. And then a month later, I get a text message because I know somebody who works in his office that Justice Neil Gorsuch is at the stadium. And there was no recognition, no whatsoever. And maybe he asked for this, I don't know. But the text message I got was like, can you visit Justice Gorsuch in section 220 or whatever it is? And he's sitting in the upper tier out in right field, all with his family.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of curious, how you juggle the two. Sonia Sotomayor is a hero, but Neil Gorsuch is stuck in the upper tier somewhere.
Yeah.
It was interesting. And with that story, it's kind of funny. About a month prior, I actually did an event for the Supreme Court justices. I was at the Supreme Court. I was wearing George Washington at the time.
Okay.
It was Neil Gorsuch's welcome party for Justice Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
And it was the wildest event ever. I met 9 Supreme Court justices and shook all of their hands. While Gorsuch was in the crowd, he started yelling at me. He's like, Corey, is that you? And he waved me over. And normally, I'm not supposed to react when I hear my name.
Yeah.
But I was like, for justice, okay, that's pretty cool. So I went over there and hey, Justice Gorsuch, is that you, Corey? So we had a good time. Got pictures with the family and all that. But to me, all I kept thinking about is how a month before Sonia Sotomayor was a hero and Neil Gorsuch was nowhere to be found.
Right. So, I mean, pretty obvious that it's super lefty culture and it's a business. It's a private business. They have that ability. This guy, community relations, least surprising thing ever is that he's a communist, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like HR departments, community relations. That's just ripe for liberal losers, basically. Sure. I will say on the O'Keefe media, the least shocking and scandalous part is that they're tracking you through cookies. It's well, duh, you have a phone. Your phone is a piece of marketing research, in your hand. So that didn't bother me at all. But I think trying to put together Pentagon deals between defense industry and Hegseth, that guy could have been blown smoke. Who knows? But,
how would that work, by the way? My assumption is that if, Boeing thinks that a contract was picked up as a result of a chance meeting, quote unquote chance meeting, that they get kickbacks by more advertisement. It's not literally that Boeing is stroking a check.
Right.
How, maybe you don't work, you don't work that side of the house, but how might that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't say for sure, but we have a community relations department. We also have a government relations department. The guy who runs that, his name's Greg. I'm drawing a blank on his last name right now, but so he'd always be involved with the city especially, and obviously the Nats. I don't understand exactly how it works, but maybe some tax kickbacks, that kind of thing. But there is a government department as well within the Washington Nationals. And I'd assume perhaps that those meetings are taking place, and maybe that guy's there as well. A little bit out of my realm, but you'd be a bit surprised that there is a government relations department with the Nationals as well.
Yeah, I think look, they want to create an environment that's good for business. Defense contractors are all here or across the river. Boeing and all the Northrop Grumman, they probably all have corporate suites in there. It's good for everybody.
Sure.
I'm sure it was not a direct kickback for arranging a meeting with Pete Hegseth. This is business as usual. This is how the town works. Yeah. What really bothers me, and Corey, you highlighted it well, is that jersey sales, merch sales, a player's ability to get their name and likeness out there and monetize that for their own benefit is clearly been affected because he's a Catholic and they won't expose him. That is prima facie civil rights discrimination. I mean, I don't want to get all lawyerly on this one, but
and another thing
the best student ever.
Fans vote on the All-Star game, and they vote on the players that they see the most or marketed the most, and usually it's a popularity contest. And if a player gets selected to the All-Star game, there's a huge bonus involved, obviously more exposure involved, gifts, hotel, everything when you come. It's just another example. Trevor Williams had no shot. He had no shot. He's a good baseball player, but nobody gets to see him.
And there's downstream effects of that too, right? Is if you don't promote him, then his view of the world doesn't get promoted throughout the country, right? There's cultural effects to that too. Like, who do kids look up to? You know, a guy like him who's a decent conservative guy, or maybe somebody who is the antithesis of that.
Real quick, Phil. In contrast to Trevor Williams, we had a guy, nice guy, Sean Doolittle. I don't know if you follow the Nationals close enough, but he pitched for us for probably 5 or 6 years. He was an All-Star game once, maybe twice, but his career started fading with the Nationals. But he was big time ally of the LGBT community, and he would do all of these events all of the time. There is nobody the Nationals marketed more than Sean Doolittle. And he was a good player. He wasn't our best player by any means, but it was probably 90% to 10% marketing to him towards anybody else on that team. And that was clearly a decision.
Yeah.
Sad to see, but glad guys like you actually know how that place works from the inside and have insight into it. Before we let you go, though, we need to talk about one of the other you're maybe the most interesting.
No woke zone.
You're maybe the most interesting person we've had on the show, and we've had a North Korean defector on. Okay, that's where you are.
Yeonmi Park.
Yeah, Yeonmi Park. We got to talk about your pontoon, man.
Yes.
This is maybe the coolest thing ever. We'll have to put a picture up on the screen when this goes up, but to describe it, it's an awesome-sized pontoon with a Doge flag in the back, and then a flag of Tom Homan smoking a cigar with the words "Ice Ice Baby" on it. Tell me about the pontoon. What's the history there? What do you do with it?
We have a lot of fun. I have a pontoon boat. It's based in Washington, D.C. The Trump boat parades in Florida inspired me. I bought a Trump flag, and then I was like, I got to fly this thing. Then I bought a boat. It was the flag that I had that inspired me to buy a boat, because I see all these parades down in Florida, and like they're awesome. But there's a bunch of like-minded people all, driving around together, waving to fans on the side of the water, support, thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. I was like, that's cool, but it would be way cooler to do that in Washington, D.C., where everybody hates me. And I thrive off that energy. It is so fun. So last year, it's a custom-made flag. It's 12 feet by 6. Cost me way too much money, but as you said, Tom Homan, Ice Ice Baby. So we go up and down every single weekend through Georgetown, the Wharf, Old Town Alexandria, and we just make as big a scene as we possibly can. I'm honking the horn, playing all this sorts of wild, crazy music. The debut last year was during the Cherry Blossom 10 miler. So there were, I think, 8,000 runners running along the water. Set our alarms, called some friends. We got there at like 6:30 a.m. just in time for the first group to pass. And we counted, because we knew we would get a lot, we counted 435 middle fingers. A lot of FUs. One dude mooned me. That was the third time that's happened. But it is so fun to piss off all these angry, miserable people. They're already angry, miserable, but I like to see that. These people, there's no coming together with these people. I like to shame, mock, make their day a little bit worse. I get a lot of joy out of that. People hate it. I've made these Reddit posts 2 or 3 times this past summer. They say I have absolutely no life. Meanwhile, I'm the one partying on a boat with a bunch of friends in Miller Lite, and these guys are spending their Saturdays yelling at Tesla dealerships. We have a lot of fun. We do have a lot of fun. So, Phil and James, we'll have to get you out there next time it's up there. We'll have a good time.
Can't wait.
When you come up again, first of all, for me, the best thing is that it's a pontoon boat, because I'm a huge lover of pontoon. I'm from the Midwest, so it's like if you're on a lake, you're cruising in style on a pontoon. Forget speedboats and like ski boats and wake. Forget it. Pontoon boats where it's at. Super American. But like the politics of mockery, you said it perfectly. Like that is how we win. That is a winning thing, because these people are miserable, and sometimes you just got to hold a mirror up to them and to the world. They just, like screaming at Teslas, keening Teslas, which pre-Elon Doge, they all would just cry over how great Teslas are. It's just, they're clowns, they're buffoons. It takes court jesters to show how ridiculous they are. God bless you. You're a patriot. It's so awesome. And it's a pontoon boat. That just makes the bit.
It's fun, I will say. And hopefully, I mean, I'm not the guy to necessarily inspire anybody else doing that, but like I feel like I wish there were more people to just make a scene, and that's kind of what I'd like to say I'm somewhat known for, as being a confrontational person in Washington, D.C. I used to attend some of these protests and start yelling at some of these trans rallies. I can send you some tweets or whatever, but it was last summer, the Arlington School Board was hosting some kind of trans kids kind of whatever, and I just screamed at the entire group. I said, "There's no such thing as a trans child, only mentally ill parents." And the whole place went like absolutely nuts, and but like, "You're just a bully." And I was like, "Yeah, you deserve to be bullied, mocked, shamed. Your family should be mocked and shamed, and you should be shunned from society." And that's kind of the only way that this stuff ever ends.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well said.
Corey, where can people find you?
Yeah.
Please. My Twitter is @TheBirdWords. @TheBirdWords. It's back. There's a story back when I was Screech. I was trying to become Bird is the word, but that was taken. So I got The Bird Words. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. I'll just try to post as much stuff as I can there. And I work at Townhall Media. You can check out townhall.com. I don't write, but I pitch all the stories. And we have a good time. So there'll be a lot more coming up on that website as well.
All right, folks around the Potomac, beware the no woke zone. You might be in it. So,
Corey, you're a patriot.
What a patriot!
Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah,
Can't
really
wait to get out on the boat.
Thank you, guys. It was a blast. Thanks for having me.
All right, later, man.